Now they can hear me and they can't hear you. And now they can hear you. Just sit there with your weird face. Hang on, let me get the chat back up. Okay. You're allowed to talk to the people. You can't see the chat, can you?
Are we live?
We are now live on Twitch, Winters.
Hello, Twitch world.
I've got the chat up in front of me, so people that are concerned, we can see what you're saying. So don't be too concerned. I'll be able to read your chat. And if you have questions and stuff, then I can throw them up at Winters. But we thought we'd do this as a bit of a hangout thing because of the current state of the world, eh?
Yes.
Oh,
we thought this would be some. It's nice to chat.
Pretty much.
We talk frequently. Let's put this one on the internet.
Yeah. So actually, the original plan today was for us to film a battle report.
It was actually. You were in the diary to come. No, I was supposed to come to you.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to come to you with you next week. There was. We were going to do a mini link game for Friday viewing.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was going to be a battle report. Two mini. I had an idea as well for a narrative for 13th versus the Eternal Slaughter and everything, but that's gone. Talk about other ideas that's gone. It's all gone now. So there was a narrative that I was due to, another mini narrative I was due to start filming with, say hi Paul, in 2 days' time, and that's gone. So
a little bit upsetting, but it is what it is. You know, people are in a much worse place than we are right now. So we thought we would have a bit of a chat with you chaps live on Twitch, just because why the hell not, basically. So a lot of you will watch me keep looking to the right all the time. That's because I've got the chat over there, and the hope is that we talk to you. This isn't planned. Like, this is going to be one of the most unprofessional videos we ever put on the internet ever, because we're just here to hang out with people because you're all off, self-isolating and keeping yourselves at home nice and safe. So we thought, well, let's come and dick around on the camera, I guess, for a couple of hours and see how it goes, basically, right?
Yeah.
So
my pussy is scratching at my door 1 minute.
Yeah, okay.
Talk about unprofessional.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, like, my office door is open, Winters' studio door is open, families can walk at any one time. It's literally just a hangout. We're going to put it up on YouTube anyway as well, so people don't miss this, but it is quite literally just a hangout. Nothing massively fancy or nothing special. I know some people have already had issues. One of the guys was saying that he could only hear me in one ear. I haven't streamed for so long. I had to reset up the software this morning to stream. So I should have fixed that now. That should have gone mono now, mate. That should all be okay. I think that's about it, right? I think everything should be working. I'm at work right now. Our Templar Tom's at work right now. What do you do? What's he working doing? That's weird. We need Farseer Winters in this time of need, is what they're saying.
That's not a thing. Stop playing with the cables. God damn it.
This might be like an hour and a half of you playing with your pussy. I have to say, on camera, whilst everyone can watch as well, your playing with yourself video at home was absolute genius.
What, lockdown day 1 video?
I want to know how and where your mind goes to come up with that kind of stuff. It was excellent, mate.
Well, normally I actually put thought behind most videos that I do.
Really?
And write down an idea. When I have an idea, write down an idea. But that one, I was just eating my cornflakes at breakfast and thought, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do it. So I just did it straight away. And I think that's the reason why it came out the way it did. The idea was to get something up. The reason why it's so short as well is the idea is to get something up on the internet quick, easy, straight away. So it ended up being this really concise, edited piece of thing. It was just stream of consciousness, really. Stop playing with my crap.
It was good.
Yeah.
I'll give you that much. It was very, very good. It was. I laughed a lot. I don't think I was the only one either. That was pretty clever content. I've been making provisions as well. So we're very lucky at the moment in this world that currently Amazon's still working, which is good. So Amazon's working right now, which means I was able to order a tablet holder that mounts on a tripod.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're Skype calling right now. So I can mount you on a tripod using my tablet, and we can Skype call and play a battle.
Please don't mount me.
All I ever want to do is mount you.
If you mount me, you're going to have to buy me coffee afterwards.
You reckon?
I don't know. What do you mean Skype call and play a battle? I don't understand.
So I'll mount you on my... I'm obsessed with mounting you. So I'll mount you on my tripod.
Right.
have your big tablet in front of me on the tripod, and then we'll
Right.
Skype call. You'll sit in your comfort of your home in your pants like you normally do, eating biscuits, and then I'll have to have the two armies out, and then you just tell me what to do, and I'll do it.
So, 1 minute. So you're gonna set up a table and get some armies out, like
Yeah.
a few 2,000 point, and you want to do it can't be 2,000 over the internet.
Yeah.
And there's a camera in the thing, and I just say,
You just
do
sit
this.
there like this with your phone. You just sit there or whatever you're using. You could use your laptop. Sit there with your laptop like you're doing now.
Is this some sort of sneaky underhand plan to get me to play with your Eldar again?
No.
Is that what is this? I
No.
have trust issues after last time. That scarred me.
No, well, one of our regulars actually. There's someone. Monkey's just mentioned this. So Monkey's in the chat. Say hi, Monkey. I'm talking to
Hi,
you,
Monkey.
Winners. He can't say hi. You need to say hi to Monkey.
Hi, Monkey.
Okay. And he's just said stylish should
He
be
was
bought
due
as...
to come.
Go on.
He was due to come down next week as well, because the Space Wolf thing, their new supplement, Space Wolves, their strats are so good, and we were going to do Space Wolves. So that's another one that we aren't doing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so Nurgle's ruined
Carry on.
everything. It's ruined our Battle Report filming. It's ruined your Spacefall filming. It ruined the 13th, and they became the end of all things. Anyway, Monkey said Stylus should be brought in as a consultant because he's a super pro. Because Stylus regularly plays over Skype 40k. Like he's a master at it. He's done it for a long time.
Okay.
But I'm going to try and do that with two armies on the tabletop and my normal camera, and then my opponent, instead of being a person, will be a person's face on a tablet mounted on a tripod. I might even put a T-shirt on it. Just so it looks a bit more...
And you'll do that live?
No. Oh, God, no.
Out what? No, not
I'm going
live.
to film it like a normal battle report.
Right, okay.
It's gonna work. I have every confidence. Can you tell?
It sounds I don't know. It sounds scary. I'm scared by technology. We should start small. If we're going to do that, we need to start small, like 500 points or something.
So, American Rob, Angry Federalist, says, thus far we've learned that Liam loves to mount Winters, who in turn is obsessed with pussy on webcam. I mean, we knew that, right? Especially when you're isolating.
The pussy has left the building. After I kicked him gentle kick. There's no pussies were harmed in the making of this video. After he was playing with my cables.
A couple of people have said that we could use Tabletop Simulator to play 40k. Now, I love the idea, people, and perhaps that's something I could do with other people, but it's hard enough to get him to sit there in front of a webcam with that camera on Skype, and he just has my face on his screen, and I run everything else from my command center right here. So I don't think Tabletop Simulator is for you, Inters. I think I'd have to get you to install the program and then download the right batch file. Yeah, that's not gonna.
I'm not sure if I did. I'm not sure if I did. That would be a terrible idea. Yes, I'm not sure of ideas anyway. People have given me like 300 ideas, and it's just about digging one or two of them out. I've got some ideas for some content.
Yeah.
I wrote a story time.
Have you? For who?
So, well, one for you, which you still haven't used. That one that I gave you 2 months ago, but I've written a new one for the 13th called Chapter Master.
So well, I'm actually the one that you wrote and actually narrated for the Eternal Slaughter. I'm really glad I've hung on to that right now because I probably need that in these next couple of months. See, it always works out for the best.
Just take some images and overlap it with it. The one I'm going to do for me, it's going to have a image, a thumbnail, and then I'm going to read the story.
I'm looking forward.
That's
to
as high tech as I get. So that'll be coming. People keep saying doing army overviews and things. I haven't done an army overview for a while, so I might actually do that.
What do you mean by an army overview? Like, I'm interested in this because people have requested them, and I don't entirely know what they mean.
Get all your stuff out, for an army.
Oh right, okay.
And talk about it.
Get my stuff out and talk about it.
That's an army overview. This is my entire army. This is how many power level it is. You could add up all the points if you wanted to, but this is the total power level. And these are the units that I like, and these are the units that work well. And this is why I added this bit over here. And this is you're a talky guy. You could talk for I'd say 10 minutes, but you can talk for an hour about what you've chosen for the Eternal Slaughter and why you've chosen it for the Eternal Slaughter. People like to hear those videos, the inner workings of your mind, and why you've chosen what you've chosen to do. It's one of those ones that is, as a video, it's easy content to make, and it's quite digestible to anyone who happens to be painting at the time. You could upscale it, because I know you like your tech, so you could take some pretty pictures every now and then and do some camera angle things in the middle of you talking. And I could potentially do that as well, but I'd probably screw it up in the editing process. So yeah, something like that, an army overview. Why is the thing that's happening the thing in the way the thing is?
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can do that with fancy camera angles and stuff. I look forward. That's actually probably not going to be that difficult to do. I mean, we're up to turn 3 on a battle report upstairs against Brom, and I need to get my tablet holder so we can finish that game first, because I don't want to waste it. We did 3 turns, and I don't think anyone will be massively surprised that Brom only got to 3 turns in a game, and then we had to stop because it was like 3 in the morning or something. It wasn't that late, but still. So I want to get that finished. Then I can get the Eternal Slaughter out and do that. That'd be good fun, I suppose.
Yeah.
Ridley's asked if you can do an army overview of an Eldar army.
Liam can, yeah, no problem.
No, he asked if you could. Specifically, can Winters do an army overview of an Eldar army?
I can show a pile of ashes. Oh, yeah, definitely, no problem. An Eldar army after it's been destroyed by exterminatus, no problem. With some good marching band music in the background. We can do that. A couple
of people have stated that they know some streams where you can watch people getting their stuff out and talking about them. So,
okay.
Please don't link them.
No, link them. I want to see those streams. People getting their stuff out, and talking about it.
Krieger says hello. Thanks for the sub, Sam. So yeah,
Krieger, you know what you did.
What did he do?
So many invites, Krieger.
Could you guys do a stream where you look at community stuff like conversions and painting? We probably could do that at some point. Actually, there's loads of stuff we can do in the meantime whilst we're waiting to kick off battle reports again. No doubt. So,
like I say, I'm not no shortage of ideas coming, and ideas. Yeah. Which ones will work and which ones will have the highest audience, which ones reaches the most, because you can make a video tomorrow about a miniature on a battlefield and get 10 people to watch it, no problem. But the point is to make something that is as entertaining as possible and reaches a large audience, because it is as entertaining as possible. Otherwise, if you make 100 videos and only one person watches every single one of your videos, it's a lot of wasted time.
Yeah. So, we've had actually quite an important question. So Otiendo said, what's happened with the event that was planned, the one with various factions that go ahead later in the year? So this is important. Obviously, we made the decision, I think last week, maybe even end of the week before, probably I think it was last week actually, I think we announced on the Monday or the Tuesday that the DZTV narrative event that was due to go ahead Easter weekend 11th and 12th of April was going to be postponed because of the ongoing coronavirus crisis in the globe. We had a number of people that were going to be travelling from other countries that weren't going to be able to travel because travelling shut down, and obviously at the stage we made the decision, it wasn't quite that bad in the UK. Obviously now we're glad we made the decision because the UK is on lockdown, or soft lockdown as well. So we have replanned it for the last weekend in November at Element Games, and as it stands, it's due to go ahead on that weekend, obviously. The local hotel that people have been booking, I've spoken to the hotel. They are honouring bookings, as in you can move them. I've done it myself. You can move them to that weekend if you want to. And even if you booked a hotel that was non-cancelable, non-transferable, etc., because of what's going on, they've allowed you to do that free of charge. You just have to pay the difference if the room rate is different. So I think mine was like another £20 or something. But I was able to move my room. Element have moved it on the calendar, so the calendar is now for us for that weekend. The Hendris campaign narrative event will go ahead. It's going to have to be later in the year. So, but it means people have got more time to paint their armies, I guess, get them finished and ready. And it also gives me more chance to sell Cabal tickets because they weren't doing so well.
Yeah, whoever asked that question, that was a very good point, actually. This is one of the things I was going to suggest to you, because you did announce it on the event thread, all the people who had joined, and you did announce it in various areas, but we hadn't actually told the whole of the DZTV community yet that it was suspended. So we need to get that out there.
Yeah, I need to do that little video at some point over the next few days.
At this time, the open day, which is happening at the end of July, is still on.
Yeah.
But obviously we'll keep an eye on everything. And if we need to suspend that one as well, we'll suspend that one.
Yeah. The problem we're having with the open day, the main problem we're having with the open day is element of running out of bookings, because obviously a lot of events have had to cancel and a lot of them have moved to later in the year. So at the point in which we moved the narrative event, they only had something like 2 or 3 weekends free for the rest of the year. I would imagine they're probably filled.
Yeah, so if we do have to suspend the open day, then it's essentially cancelling the 2020 open day, and we'll have to run it next year instead in 2021.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a bit naff, and we'd be a bit upset about it because we really enjoyed the open day, but there's bigger fish to fry in the world right now. So it's it's one of those things. People are making sacrifices left, right, and centre that are a lot smaller than us, just a lot larger, than us just moving our small little open day. So we will keep you posted. At the moment, it's still booked for the last weekend or the 25th of July. I think it was the 25th.
It's the last weekend in July. 25th sounds like the last weekend anyway.
Yeah.
It's still booked in there.
I think it's the 25th, yeah. So at the moment, it's still going to go ahead, but we'll see. Someone's asked if I've turned off Streamlabs donations. I don't think so. There was a donation button below the channel, but I mean, I wasn't worried about getting that sort of stuff set up for this stream because that's not what this
Saturday,
is about.
Saturday, the 25th of July.
Thank you.
Saturday, 25th of July.
Thank you. I was about to get your calendar out of my drawer, so...
Yes.
Can we get more 40...
that's the thing.
Can we get more 40k cat videos?
We can.
I think they mean P90, not your wife.
Oh, right. Yeah. No. That's one of the main suggestions people keep sending me as well. Hey, you could teach your wife to play 40k and film battle reports with her. No.
Yeah.
No. That's not happening.
Do you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking yours and Monkey's like Spaceball video.
Yes.
I'm wondering if I can get you two on a Skype call and then host it. I can definitely have the power to do this. I just don't know if I'll be able to set it up and host it on this computer and record it live, but not put it on.
Yeah, but how could we do that? You need both armies in the same table.
Oh, okay. It was a battle, was it? Not a...
Yeah.
Oh, right. I thought it was just to talk about the new book. Okay, ignore me. All right, whatever.
No. But while he was here, I was going to ask him some questions like I did with Stylus, but obviously turn the microphone on this time round.
Yeah. Hard, isn't it, to remember to turn the microphone on? Who knew? How much do I have to donate for Winters to do an Eldar army? I don't think there's enough money in the world. I don't think you're ever gonna get that. So, sorry.
Ain't happening. I'm not playing Eldar.
No.
Maybe we do our yearly thing, right? Our DZTV yearly anniversary. It might become a yearly thing. It depends how much Liam punches me in the head and makes me do it. But my arm could be twisted to do it as a yearly thing again this year, maybe, particularly with all the stress and the pressure and the crisis that's going on. It might be comedy gold.
Well, the thing is, the problem we have is the anniversary is obviously the 1st of June, which we're rapidly approaching.
Is it?
And there's a possibility that this will still be on the 1st of June, so as in the lockdown. And if that's the case, then we stay in our homes and we stay safe. So,
this thing is definitely going to be on for like a year. What's it? The WHO said 12 to 18 months. This is going to be going on for a very long time. It just depends on how long lockdowns are and how many lockdowns there will be.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Winters and I spoke quite early on. We're very concerned about the fact that battle reports specifically are going to dry up a little bit because of this. It's just something that's, I mean, unless you were going to move into my house and I'd kill you. I wouldn't be able to put up with that for that length of time. But what we wanted to make sure
people are still working, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What we wanted to make sure people knew was that we weren't going to stop doing content. We weren't going to stop kicking stuff out. There'll be videos like this and sit and talks that we're going to do and behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. We can do all that stuff, can't we? We can experiment with new videos and see what we can come up with.
I can experiment with you.
Yeah? So I get my stuff out on the table and you experiment with me. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, and I was thinking about playing with myself again. Our last video went down quite well. I could do one with the Warhound Titan.
Yeah.
So I could experiment with you and play with myself. I can definitely do that.
I love that video so much.
Cool.
I don't understand where your mind wanders to. I will say as well that for someone who's an absolute technological imbecile, the talking to yourself thing was really quite clever.
Yes. Well, yes. I could do that. record because I record audio when I do reviews, so I know how to press that button, and I know how to put audio on the editing. Look, when it comes to things, things in general, there are some things I can do, and the things that I can do, I try to get quite good at, like making tea and battle reports
I've
and
seen your tea.
art,
You are not very good at
playing.
making tea.
They're awesome tea. It's tea. It's lovely, my tea. It's tea, milk, two sugars, builder's brew, the perfect tea. None of these like lavender and yak spit teas that
No,
she
no, no, no,
has.
no. I'm not on about that. I mean, I did drink green tea a minute ago, but I'm not about the lavender and yak bit. I'm on about the shade of your tea is the wrong shade.
What do you mean the shade of my tea is the wrong shade? It's tea shade.
It's like a light magnolia. It's not tea.
It's the color of tea. That's what tea looks like.
People have
before
seen
you
your cup
dump
of tea
it.
on the behind-the-scenes vlogs that are on deploymentzone.tv. There is no way that is tea.
Oh, that was mid stir. I'm stirring that's an action shot. That is mid stir.
No amount of
When the
stirring
tea's
that
done.
cup was going to make it the right colour of brown.
There was 2 tea bags in that tea. Because the big cup, it's a big cup.
2 tea bags and it was that pale. What did you use? 3 pints of milk?
No, you look about that much. That much? Can you see that much? That is my tea to water milk ratio thing.
When I see I see it for a
What?
different reason.
That's all you need. That's coherency, right?
It's about, what, an inch and a half?
Sometimes 3 inches is all you need. You know, when you're piling in, all you need is 3 inches.
Right, we probably should move on. This is a daytime show right now. Well, to us it's a daytime show. To some of the other countries it's not, but...
Can anyone pile in more than 3 inches?
Yeah, there's...
Does anyone get a 6-inch pile in?
Yeah.
Space Wolves get a 6-inch pile in, don't they?
Yeah, they're big and manly. But there's also like warlord traits and stuff in there that gives you extra 3-inch pilings. So
that's a really good stratagem that they have as well. That countercharge that stratagem for 1 CP, so a unit can pile in like characters 6 inches away. So you charge that thing over there, and then a unit of whatever, not just one character, but a whole unit.
Well, they can heroically intervene.
6 inches. Yeah, you can spend 1 CP, pick a unit, not a character, and it can heroically intervene 6 inches like a character. That's just an awesome strat. Imagine that on a unit of Terminators or anything, really.
Well, I'll confess I haven't read the Space Wolves part of that book yet. I read the Orc part. I read the Orc part because the book turned up just after I think Brom had finished deploying, maybe, or just after he finished putting his army out on the table, and I was like, "Here, read this quickly and use it." So he had 10 minutes before it had to start. Possibly might be part of the reason why we only got to turn 3.
What do you think of Games Workshop changing the doctrines? Devastator, Tactical Assault, and when you can use them?
The Space Marine stuff.
Before I give you that, before you answer that question, I think they're fixing something that was I quite liked the doctrines as they were. To me, the broken bit was giving people doctrines and extra stuff because they're White Scars, and extra stuff because they're Imperial Fifths. All they really needed to do for all the supplements was release supplements with the doctrines and some strats in, and that would have been lovely, and that would have got Space Marines up to where they need to be. But they overdid it, They released that and strats and more.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that
now we're in the
this is something that you and I have already spoke about on DZHQ, but this is going up on YouTube. So for those of you that don't know, we will explain a little bit more what we were talking about. A couple of things before we get to that. We will get to that because that will be a topic that we'll talk about for a few moments, I reckon. A couple of people have already said that you're wrong, basically. I'm with Liam on the colour of tea. Tea should be dark brown. It wasn't tea, it was dirty milk. So yeah, sorry. Tea should be Doomball brown, not Ishbati bone, which is brilliant. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of that stuff. So you're wrong about tea. Simple as that.
I'm wrong about most things, but I'm not wrong about tea. God damn it!
I'm sorry, but you are wrong about tea. And people have been commenting about other armies that can do the 6-inch piling thing. So there's a few about like Custodies and stuff. But anyway, the changes to Space Marines. The changes to Space Marines. This is interesting.
Yeah.
I absolutely 100% think they needed to do something to Space Marines to sort of wind them back a bit. So I was 100% behind them making a change. I
Right.
love Games Workshop, but think that the way they did it was a bit rubbish. It was
Oh,
it was what they took a hammer to a solution that needed to a problem that needed a sort of a significantly gentler solution. So, and the reason why I say that is because some armies, some Space Marine factions got really hurt by that change because they might want to live in Devastator Doctrine, or they might want to live in Assault Doctrine.
yeah.
Some armies haven't been really that hurt that badly, and some armies it's no change. Armies like Iron Hand. Is it Iron Hands that want to live in Dev Doctrine, or is it Imperial Fists that are the problem that live in Dev? I don't know which one it is. Both of them maybe that live in Dev Doctrine that get all their bonuses in there. They were stupidly strong and powerful. So so forcing them to move on, yeah, I'm kind of okay with that because they were too powerful anyway. Then you've got Dark Angels that came out. They want to live in Dev Doctrine, and it wasn't stupidly powerful, the rule that they gained in Devastator Doctrine. They lost it after 3 weeks of the book being out, which sucked quite a lot, to be honest with you. And then other armies like Ultramarines who want to be in Tactical Doctrine, well, they can go. They were starting in Dev anyway, so that's no different. They wanted to go Tac Doctrine turn 2 no matter what, and they've still got an opportunity to have turn 3 in Tac, so they're not hurt quite so badly either. And that's where I don't like the solution, because it affects all different chapters completely differently. So it's not like a balanced change to the rules, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And it's just, it's Space Wolves again. If you'd have read that supplement from the Space Wolves, they want to get to the Assault Doctrine. But that book was already out of date when they released it, because the doctrines in there, it talks the Space War section when you got the combat doctrines.
Yeah.
It was the original cut and paste rule from all the supplements, which they'd fact a week before. So the rules in the book are already out of date when they released the book. When they released the Space Wolf Codex, those rules were out of date because they got the sagas wrong. Games Workshop at the moment with their rules writing, there's been an avalanche, a tsunami of so many rules and so many supplements since 8th edition came out. They're not even they're not in control. They're not in control of their own rules, and it makes me rage sometimes. They just need to slow down, please.
I think that's the key. If they just slowed it down a bit, then they'd probably be okay. It's just it's the speed and pace in which they've released stuff, and I understand that they want to get it out and they want to give everyone their rules really, really early and get everyone playing with their own rule sets. But I agree, the pace is what's caused them their problems more often than not.
Slow down. We don't live and love this game because, oh, look, there's another book coming out on Tuesday, and oh, look, there's another book. No. It's all about the miniatures. It's all about getting new miniatures, new toys. Books are obviously good, so release books, but slow down the release cycle on books. And because you've slowed it down, then you can double check them a bit better.
Yeah. Give them to people to read beforehand and go, this doesn't look right, that's not great. But someone's already said in the chat, I think it was Templar Tom, said they keep making changes to the entire faction, which doesn't work. That's true. That's exactly my problem with it. So I think particularly with the Space Marine issue and the doctrines, I think what they needed to do more often, or what they need to do more often in general, but what they need to do specifically with Space Marines was look at the chapter by chapter statistics and facts, and then make a change chapter by chapter that balances them all and levels them all out. Because I think that the changes, by applying one single change to every single chapter, and specifically as well when it includes Dark Angels and Space Wolves and stuff like that have their own standalone codexes, it affects them differently again. But by making one generic change to all of them all at once, all you do is you have this unbalanced chart of Space Marine chapters. You make a change and it just shifts along, or it doesn't flatten the curve. It doesn't solve. I don't hate that phrase. We've heard it so much recently, but it doesn't solve the peaks and troughs of a power. It just moves it along to a different chapter.
Well, more than that as well, the game's supposed to be balanced, right? As the longer the game cycle comes out, it's supposed to be getting more and more and more balanced. Hence the chapter approved, hence the facts. Yeah. So I think you've got to start from the assumption that the game is relatively balanced. And then in the tournament scenes, there's some armies going to rise to the top, some armies are going to fall to the bottom, shift up and down the meta, particularly as new books and new models come out. But you have to start with the assumption that things are relatively balanced. So as you said, if you make a change, make a small change and then see how that shifts the meta first. The Space Marine release, there was major changes. Each supplement got 3 major updates. They got the thing that their army can do, like tactical doctrines for Ultramarines. They got combat doctrines, and they got 3 new pages of strats. That isn't a slight shift. That's a massive shift. And in that Space Wolf supplement book that you've just spoken about, you've got those 3 major shifts there for one faction, Space Wolves. And then you go along to the Orc bit and you read the Orc bit. And you had a rant about this when the Imperial Fist book came out, I think. In the same book with all the Imperial Fist changes, you've got all this goodness. And then over here, this is the stuff that you get for the Black Templars. And they've got crap all.
The
and
Black Templars are an iconic chapter.
Make small shifts.
They're such a massive part of the 40k lore, and I know they're not first founding, etc., but they're such a huge part of 40k lore, and they got a few pages in another supplement. Rather, they should have had their own. This is not just Black Templars, but you've got 6, I think it is, chapters that got their own supplements. And then you've got the Dark Ages and the Space Wolves and the Blood Angels books as well. And then all of those have been updated in Psychic Awakening. And all Templars got was a few pages in a supplement. They should have had their own supplement. Yeah. Equally, I've spoke about this on an Endless Cacophony podcast with Chris. If you're going to give Ultramarines and you're going to give Raven Guard all their own chapter books, their own supplements, why aren't World Eaters and Black Legion and Word Bearers, why aren't they getting their own supplements as well to add to the Chaos Codex? Because you could eat. They sort of mirror each other, Chaos and Space Marines, to a point, right? I obviously understand they've got different units and there's a significant different amount of lore between them.
Absolutely. What you can do is make the Chaos Space Marine or Space Marine core codex bigger and make the supplements really small and make them for £10, but make 20 of them. So, for example, Space Marine Codex drops, boom, there's the core book, and everyone uses that. Space Wolves included, Blood Angels included. That's for Space Marines, yeah? And here are all their unit options and yada, yada, yada. And then you buy your Blood Angel supplement or your Space Wolf supplement or whatever supplement. And if you're running it as this particular thing, in that little pamphlet, in that little £10 book, it says, right, here's the extra units you can bring. Here's the restrictions on the ones in the main book that you can't bring if you're running Blood Angels. You can't bring that, and that. But in this book, you can bring Bow Predators as well and Librarian Dreadnoughts. And here's another page or 2 of Psychic Powers. Job done. And that way you can release more Space Marine supplements, and you could do it very simply for Chaos as well. You can release big chunking Chaos book, and then you can release 10 different little supplement books for them. But they only have to be 20 pages each. And it's like a rules update for them. So because they did a rules update for in the Blood of Baal in one of the books, in Psychic Awakening books, new strats for Word Bearers, new strats for World Eaters, new strats for.
Here's a mildly controversial opinion, but a lot of people agree with it though. Scrap rules in books altogether. Only release narrative in books that when you pick it up and read it, it lasts a test of time because it's narrative, so it doesn't tend to change all that much unless you want to do something ridiculous like release Primaris. And then after that, all rules go digital. So if you release a new unit for a new army, you just update the digital portal that you have as an app on your phone or your iPad or your computer or whatever. Digital rules means that when you have a whole army of Space Marines and you release one new unit of Primaris in cursors or whatever they might be, it just appears on your portal and it's there because you're already paying your subscription service.
Well, Games Workshop's $1 billion company, right? I think it's worth $1 billion now. And the fact that they haven't got a digital rule set is incredible. It's just a matter of time. It must be a matter of time, surely. I mean, they said when 8th edition launched that they were going to release a point system like they have for AOS. So they're clearly working on something somewhere.
You see this, Winters? Can you see this? I'm holding it up here. See this?
That's called a telephone.
You can't see it. Like, I'll hold it up to your camera because I have to run 2 cameras so we can see. See this here? See that?
That's the AOS thing. I know. Let's not bang on about AOS again. But
what I'm saying is, I'm not banging on about AOS, but what I'm saying is, it is currently a rule set that's digital, that's Games Workshop, that exists. So it already exists. Games Workshop have clearly proven that they can do it because they have it for Age of Sigmar. Yeah,
well, I'll say the thing that everyone says, which is, hey, I'd like a digital rule set. Even me, I'd like a digital rule set, but I'd also like some books as well. I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Digital rule set is coming at some point.
Hang on,
there is a small child next to you.
Yeah, I keep talking. I have a small child, and he wants me to put his shoe on. So He's only got one shoe, apparently.
Talk now. Say something intelligent. I thought about doing some exercise earlier. I think it makes me a better person.
I have a question for you that you can answer.
Have you done any?
A question comes from Brap. You know Brap from Discord? Brap Scallion. He says, a question for Winters. Which comes first, cure for the virus or you finishing your repulsor?
Well, I thought about doing the repulsor earlier as well, so I'll get to that at some point.
Oh, we have the other shit.
Cure for the virus, 12 to 18 month queue for the virus, 12 to 18 months away, so probably that will happen first. Yeah, I mean, there is a disease spreading across the planet for which there is no known cure. It's a long way away for a thing. So repulsor, I think I should mention that everyone should still work unless they can work at home, right? That's what's happening in the UK lockdown at the moment. People are still going to work. So I am still working. You are still working at this moment.
Yeah.
It's just that those chunks in between work, we've got an awful lot of time because I used to film battle reports and setting up for a battle report. So setting up, how long does it take you? I'll give you, someone asked me the other day and I said about 12 hours, roughly. The whole process.
Oh, what, including editing,
yeah? Setting up the table and thinking about your army and then writing the army list and then actually playing the game and timeouts and then rendering and editing. I think it's 12 hours.
Yeah.
So I've got 24 hours back because there was 2 each period. So actually getting that repulsor done is still a stretch because I want to make other content for YouTube and DZ if I can.
Someone has suggested that you should stream it. I reiterate what I've said to you guys previously. It's hard enough getting him to do this, let alone getting him to directly stream to Twitch.
I thought about a painting stream. I've seen some of them. I've seen people do them. You just need a camera above looking down, right? At your hands.
Yes.
I've got this camera here. I can point it at my hands.
Yep.
But I don't know if I will be entertaining enough.
I'm sure you would be. It's getting you set up to stream that's the problem through your laptop. So doing it on Instagram is really easy because you can just do it on your phone and press record on your go live. But
this is connected to my laptop right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a camera.
So how? Okay, this is a fun question. So how do you get the picture that's from your webcam onto Twitch?
So that one, no, I'd stream on YouTube.
Oh.
Because you could, I see people stream it. Jack Frag streams on YouTube. I like him. There's Warzone videos and things.
I
sellotape the camera to the wall, so it's pointing at the table, and then build something and talk about how I'm not exercising. And then there's a button I've noticed when you upload videos and on YouTube, and it says live something. So click that button and cross fingers and pray to the God Emperor.
So
like all good children should.
Upload video, go live. If I click go live right now.
What, on YouTube?
Yeah, this can handle it, don't worry. If I click it, it loads up a page. I want to see if it asks you for software or something like Twitch does, because I don't have to. I stream to Twitch via some software, so I use OBS Studio.
You're doing this, you're multitasking.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do that.
I heard about that multitasking thing. It sounds painful.
So, YouTube live streaming button does lots of loading, apparently. Oh, interesting.
Because maybe as soon as you click on it, it starts live streaming.
I don't think it does.
I don't know what it does, but I might find out.
Why am I not surprised that you've got no idea? I would love for you to start live streaming. Even I might tune into that, to be honest with you.
I work better when I bounce off someone, so I'll probably be sat there. I don't know what to say. But people can ask questions. I can bounce off the questions, I guess.
Simon says, wow, Winter's on technology. Yep, so you know as well as all of us how good he is. Question for both of you. What about no retreat style DZTV if the world does not end? That's from Chunky Fingers. No retreat style DZTV. If you can clarify that, we'll answer it, because I'm not entirely sure what you're asking.
So no retreat is a tournament, not SN. So no retreat is tournament? Yeah. DZTV tournament if the world doesn't end. I think we can answer that straight away, which is We're not interested in running tournaments. We're interested in running events, such as the Hendris campaign narrative event, such as the Open Day. There's loads of people out there that do tournaments, like SM Battle Reports, No Retreat, that do them much better than we ever could. What we can do, though, and what is our bread and butter, is creating narrative. We could do it. We could do a tournament. We could run a tournament, but it's got to interest you. And I'm not interested in. To say I'm not interested in the competitive scene is disingenuous. I'm interested to see what happens in the competitive scene, to see what units are doing particularly well, what armies are doing particularly well, and which way the meta's shifting. But I'm not interested in fighting in the competitive scene at all. It doesn't grab me in that way. What grabs me is creating good content for you guys to enjoy and telling stories. And you can do that at a 500-point narrative level. You can do that in an open war setting. You can do that in a competitive setting as well. But if I was, because me and Liam can do it, because to create good content in a competitive setting, you've got to have a couple of agreements with your opponent first to make it good content. Because what can happen if you try and do a competitive setting battle report without getting those agreements down is, in turn two, it could be over. So you need the TTT guys do it as well. They clearly talk about what they're going to do beforehand, setting up the game, or what type of armies are going to go up against each other. There's no point in running a rock to a scissors. It's a bit dull. One of them decides to set up a really competitive list. The other one decides to set up a competitive counter list. Me and Liam have done that with 13th versus Eldar a couple of times. So competitive can get very competitive and can be over very, very quickly. So running tournaments and doing things that way is less engaging, I think, for the general audience than doing narrative, personally.
Yeah, I think I probably agree with you there, to be honest with you. And the thing is as well, like from a very selfish perspective, but I think you'll probably agree, doing narrative things is also a lot more fun for us. And I think when you're enjoying it more, it definitely comes across on camera more. Like something I've always given to people that have asked me in the past, if you've got any tips for starting YouTube channels, etc. What would one of your tips be? And one of the top ones is always enjoy what you're doing, because if you enjoy what you're doing, it will come across on camera and people will enjoy it with you. Because I always think that things like YouTube and Twitch and our on-demand website and all that kind of stuff, Instagram, people often connect with the personality more than they do perhaps the end topic. And if you connect with the personality quite well, or you think they're having fun and you're enjoying it with them, I think you tend to find that you have a better audience retention because they are invested in that personality. Now, obviously, people come to a 40k channel because they want to watch 40k content. If they then watch the person making that content having fun and enjoying themselves, I think they're significantly more likely to enjoy themselves with you, and you're going to have better audience retention. I think if you're doing highly competitive stuff, the type of people that will come and find that are looking for something specific because they're trying maybe to be more competitive and they're looking for hints and tips. And I don't know if they're going to be the sort of audience that you will retain in the long run. So I think that us enjoying ourselves is, one, better for us because we're enjoying ourselves, and also better for you because you guys can enjoy joining in with us, I guess, kind of, if that sort of makes sense.
Yeah, that'll make sense. And I'll add to yours as well. So there's two reasons. The third reason why is there's not a lot of narrative events out there. Like, there's lots of tournaments, and I remember talking to you about it way back in the day when we were setting DZTV up. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could run a narrative event where people come along and get involved in some story arc that's happening between a couple of factions here, and we're fighting over the death of a world, and heroes will be forged, and armies will be destroyed, last stands will be made. That's the sort of places that, so people don't do many of these. There are not a lot of them out there. So
In terms of other content, there has been a request from Manolist2 who says, Winters, make a terrain tutorial. There's loads of people asking for you to make more terrain tutorials. I don't know if you've not done tutorials for all the terrain you've made, have you? I know you've done it for those big rock things.
I've made very little terrain tutorial videos out there. The tutorial videos I haven't done for some time. I think I've done one or two since I moved into this house. But that's because the amount I only have a certain amount of time, just like you, and the time that has been aimed at creating more content, more battle reports, story times, and things like that, and things like this. So I have a limited amount of time. Tutorials on terrain as well, though. Back in the day, when I first started filming battle reports and putting them on internet, there was no such thing as battle mats. And shortly after I started launching videos, battle mats came, and then shortly after that, pre-painted, pre-assembled terrain started becoming available. GameMat.eu Ruins, Gothic Ruins set was the first one that I became aware of, perhaps a year and a half after I started publishing videos.
Yeah.
So making terrain was the only way to get terrain back in the day. Now you can buy it.
Yeah. And some of it's really good stuff as well.
And some of it's really good stuff. It saves a lot of time, which is why these people who give me some terrain sets, they don't ever ask for showcase videos. No one's told me we will give this to you if you make a showcase video. I'm just humbled and pleased that someone bothers to send some terrain through that they want me to feature in battle reports. So I, in addition, make showcase videos, 5-10 minute videos, either setting up a table or not setting up a table with the new terrain on it, because I've been given some bits as well. This is interesting. I've been given a few bits here or there which I haven't made videos on. I'm looking at a bit down in that corner from a company that will remain nameless, which I haven't used and I won't use. If I don't believe in the product, I won't do a showcase on it saying this is where it is.
A company that will remain nameless. That's
Well, because we
don't do negative.
Have used some of their stuff in the past.
Oh.
And yeah. It's a company that everyone knows. And this piece of terrain kit, I don't think I can. Yeah, it's no one wants that. I don't want it.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I don't know what it is either, people. So this is news to me as well. So that's interesting.
Maybe some people would want it for something, but it's very bespoke and very specific, and I'm not interested.
Yeah, some people have also asked specifically, this is specific content they've requested from you as well. They've asked that if you're going to sellotape your webcam to a wall, can you please film that?
I could do, that's interesting, because I could do, if I try and stream, I could try and do a behind the scenes video of me setting up the stream. That'd be a 1.5, 2 minute video. I could do that actually, because the stream might fail and then at least there's a video, a bit of content that comes out of it at the end, which is me trying and failing to stream. So, yeah, these are all good ideas. Stuff that I am actually doing a showcase / painting tutorial video on the bases that I do for Nurgle. I've done a couple of war dogs over there, so that's coming.
Yeah.
I want to do that story time video, that's coming. And then I don't know what I'm doing, so I might actually, that's the other thing. I want to get that Redemptor done, and I want to do those Grey Knight Storm Talons. I want to actually get some hobbying stuff done for myself, so I will try and film some of that as I do it. What are you doing? What is your hobby goals?
For what?
For hobby.
For hobby? What do you mean for hobby?
What have you got? What stuff are you getting stuffed? Assembling, painting, doing?
Assembling is primarily towel stuff at the moment, as you know. Well, we were going through the process of sending a load of towel stuff off the Den of Imagination to get painted for the channel. Obviously, there's not much going into. The first time. Yeah. Winters managed to send it to the wrong address, so it got returned to him. I told you before, just use the webway. And then, obviously now stuff isn't travelling very well right now, so I don't think that's going to get off to them very, very soon. I can't give stuff to you to send off to them anytime soon. It's going to be a pause on that, but I'll keep building stuff at least. I've got stuff here that I can keep putting together, so it means that when we send off the next chunk, there'll be a lot more of it. The other thing I'm not going to dwell on right now, because I know you don't like it very much, is I'm going to attempt to learn the rules for Age of Sigmar. Because as far as I'm concerned, and I think you probably would agree with this to be fair, for DZTV to be an incredible success, we need to cover more than just 40k, especially when we get full time, we can put more videos out. One of the things that might help us in terms of customer reach and having more people come and join us, both in our community and on the channel, would be to have an extended amount of content. So Age of Sigmar, battle reports, maybe even look at things like Kill Team. And I know you've done stuff like Titanicus in the past, but having a wide, varied spread of content.
I agree. I don't want the 40K content to suffer because
Absolutely.
that's where the majority audience is, but I want to add. So yeah, adding when we're in a position where we can add, then we should add. I want to add Age of Sigmar. I want to add Titanicus, Kill Teams, Battlefield Gothic. I want to add different game systems as well. Maybe not
Categorically,
all
it
at
will not
once.
hurt the amount of 40k content that comes out on DZTV, because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just won't. We won't let that
Well,
happen. It takes a
well,
global
well,
pandemic for us to stop putting battle
yes.
reports out weekly. Let's put it that
Yes.
way. So
Yeah,
since
we won't deliberately reduce the amount of 40K content, but the world might stop us. Yes, but we will always try and add new content where we can.
yeah,
I think the mini wargaming videos for AOS are doing really well at the moment. They're getting some good figures there. So the audience for AOS is clearly growing and growing and growing.
it is.
Back when it was first launched, you looked at people putting out battle reports and they get 1,000, 2,000 views. Not a lot of views. Mini wargaming weren't getting many views, but you can see the curve is clearly growing over time, which is good to see. A healthier gaming system with more and more people getting into that gaming system is good to see, because that means the general community of hobbyists and modulists and buddyists and froggyists are all growing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that AOS has actually proven in the early stages to be a test bed for the new 40k for 8th edition. There's a lot of stuff that's clearly been transferred over, and a lot of stuff that hasn't as well. So I think AOS did GW a real favour, to be honest.
What do you think of Old World? Warhammer Old World is coming next year or the year after.
I honestly, Chris
That'd be
mentioned
interesting.
this. Chris mentioned this in the last podcast that we did on Warhammer, and I had no idea it was coming. I didn't see the announcement for it, so.
So, what you're going to have in the future is you're going to have Warhammer 40K, Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and Warhammer Old World. And I'd be really interested to see whether Warhammer Old World ends up, after a year or so, ends up bigger than AOS. Because the old world, you've still got the Total War series, and you've still got all those old video games that people are playing. And when they go, oh, look, Warhammer's really cool, and they go to the shop and it's not there, I think that's one of the reasons why they are launching it. There is a huge market there of people who want to buy and play that game, and currently that game doesn't exist. How many people have you spoken to that play Dawn of War and they are playing 40K because of Dawn of War?
Yeah, loads.
I've spoken to many people like that.
I think Mikey from Hellstorm Wargaming, you remember Hellstorm Wargaming? I think he started playing Dawn of War, which is why he has Blood Ravens. Literally, why his main army is Blood Ravens is because of Dawn of War. I never really played fantasy battles or old world Warhammer. It wasn't a thing that I enjoyed massively. I think one of the reasons why AOS is appealing as a gaming system, in addition to 40k, is because there's a lot of similarities in terms of the freedom of movement and stuff. Whereas old world required like movement trays and you were pivoting on the spot and stuff. I think from what I understand is they're going to release it as a Forge World specialist game like Horus Heresy is how I understand it.
Are they?
I don't know. So I'm on the fence about it. I don't know. I think if anyone is going to play something like Total War and that sort of Warhammer game, I 100% agree with you. And they want to come back to the hobby or come and get involved in the hobby, and they turn up at Games Workshop, they walk in there, and you'll see maybe some of the things that exist from Total War on the shelf in the AOS section, but it's not called Warhammer, it's called Age. I think that's quite confusing, and I think if they were to resolve that, I actually absolutely think that would bring players into the hobby. I also think that since it finished and the old times happened, 9th edition fantasy as it was, there are still a cult following of players who play 9th edition fantasy.
Yeah.
So
it's still a large cult out there of people. Mountain Miniatures, the Mountain Steve, he does a lot of old World War stuff. I think that would be a mistake if they released it as a Forge World only, yada yada yada. I think if there's a new miniature range that comes out of it, if this is what I would, if I was in charge of Games Workshop, release Warhammer Old World with new miniatures, new rules, new gaming system set in the old world, and they're in it to sell miniatures, right? So start it again from scratch, edition 1, and start off with 4 factions. Start off with your elves, your dwarves, your humans, and undead. With a new miniature range. And you can get some overlap with Age of Sigmar. Like, Chaos Demons in Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k overlap.
Yep.
There's some overlap there. you could have some overlap between AOS and Warhammer Old World. So they don't have to release 50 different units with every single new one of these four factions straight away, and suddenly that's 200 different units they need to invent from scratch. What they can do is invent 10 new units for each of the four factions from scratch, and then port over some stuff from AOS so that there's some cross-pollination going on there. And that's what I would do. And I think there is a huge market for classic fantasy board games. I mean, look at D&D. Who'd have thought that some people dungeon crawling, pretending to be a wizard and a dwarf, stuff that I did when I was 12, who'd have thought that that would have a mass market in this day and age? Well, it has. People like dwarves and elves and hitting each other with swords. And I think Games Workshop thought Age of Sigmar was the future because it's more steampunky and more this and more that and more. And they've turned the dial up to 11. Well, there is an audience for that. But there's also an audience there are also people out there who just want to play with dwarfs, smacking elves across the battlefield. And they need to release that game. As the number one miniatures maker model company in the world, that game needs to exist. And it needs to not be Forge World. It needs to be in their shelves, front and center.
I do wonder if they maybe thought that the Lord of the Rings fantasy battle game was going to replace it a little bit, because that's elves, dwarves, humans.
They did. I got a story.
Okay, I'm listening.
I came back, so here's the story that everyone says. I played 40k when I was a kid, and I came back in X edition. Yeah?
Yep.
Everyone's got that story. I played 40k in Rogue Trader days, and I came back in 4th edition. This is my story. And my friends went to Games Workshop to buy Talisman, or to buy Warhammer Quest, to buy one of those board games that they did back in the day, back in 1st and 2nd edition. Mike and Sam went off to buy this game, and they got to Games Workshop, and they said, and they came around to me afterwards and said, with bags of Games Workshop goodies in their hands, and like, what are you doing? I said, well, we went to Games Workshop, we went to buy these board games. Games Workshop don't do board games anymore. What? Games Workshop don't do Talisman. They don't do this. They don't do that. They only are releasing their main tabletop stuff. So we bought a lot of stuff. I said, well, what's happening? Tell me about Games Workshop. And they went to the guy and said, we want to do X. And the guy says, we don't do that anymore. So they said, well, we want to buy fantasy then. Let's do fantasy because that's what we did. And the guy said, Games Workshop guy said, don't buy any fantasy. Lord of the Rings has been launched, and Lord of the Rings is the new thing. Games Workshop putting all their effort into Lord of the Rings, and fantasy's going to die. It's going to be their new fantasy system. And they said, well, we don't want to do Lord of the Rings either. So they bought 40k and turned up at my house. And one of them had Eldar, one of them had Tau, and they told me I immediately had to go out and buy an army. So I still had a chunk of Space Marines from 1st and 2nd ed. So I went out and got the only army that anyone should ever play.
Eldar.
Space Marines, and came back in 4th edition.
Oh.
But yeah, and then when I was in the store, I went out, not that day actually, I went out a couple of days later, and I remember talking to the guy and having a conversation with him on more than one occasion, and he was convinced that his bosses had said that Lord of the Rings was going to kill fantasy, and Lord of the Rings was going to be the new fantasy game, which is why I wasn't surprised when Age of Sigmar released in 7th, once 7th edition 40k was going on. I think they were looking for a way out back in the day. They were looking for how to steer the Games Workshop fantasy ship in a new direction back then.
It's interesting. I think I have no story similar to that. I just wondered if the fantasy nature of Lord of the Rings and the Tolkien universe was sort of there to replace elves and goblins and dwarfs, because that's literally what exists in Lord of the Rings, and then perhaps AOS was their opportunity to do something completely different. And ultimately, I think probably a lot of it's to do with protecting their IP as well, because obviously AOS, you see elves are now called elves and dwarfs are now the Duardin, and they're all named now that happens to be something completely different to what they've ever been called before, and therefore they are able to protect their IP and copyright things.
They're trying to protect they're trying to build an IP that is going to be as recognizable as Space Marines are now. People who don't play 40k know Space Marines.
Yep.
They're trying to build that IP, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mean, like I've said a few times that a couple of people said, people need to Liam needs to stay away from the AOS salesman Chris. Absolutely not. but I don't want people to panic. The 40k content will not suffer. Like, we will, especially when we're back up and running after this sort of global pandemic, we will be back to kicking out battle reports minimum once a week. That's the goal for DZTV. It was always the goal for DZTV. 40k content will be front and center for a long time to come. They'd have to do something crazy, I think, for that to stop. They'd have to do something mental with 40k for us to not be doing that anymore. And I don't see that ever happening. So 40k content is safe. People don't panic. We have had some other questions that are interesting as well. One of them I want to put to you because this is an interesting question that we talk about so many times as well. And I think the last time we had this genuine question was either in Discord or at the last open day. I can't remember exactly who asked the question. I'm trying to scroll back up now. But basically the question was simply, how close are we to getting out factories, plural, and doing this full time? And obviously, I will chuck a caveat out there quite right away. We, at this stage, don't know how what is going on at the moment is going to affect the business. There's a strong possibility we will gain customers because they're going to want to watch content because they're at home with nothing more to do. There's a strong possibility we'll lose customers because people's jobs are at risk. People are making sure they've got all of their money to hand, and because we may end up not being able to produce so many 40k back reports in the very near future. And we are coming up with creative ways of making new and different content to try and keep you guys entertained. We don't know how it's going to affect that yet, but we can certainly answer that question as a snapshot as to where we are right now, right?
Yes.
Go on then.
Well, I thought you were on a roll. Keep going.
No, yeah. So I think we've been blown away over the last sort of year and a half to 2 years that this has been running, as to the response we've had and the support we've had for the business, for Deployment Zone, for the Discord server, for the website. It's been incredible. It's been an amazing journey so far. Winters and I are both really, really enjoying it. We're tired and busy, but we're both really, really enjoying it. As to how close we are for it to be able to become full time, that's a really tough question, and often people don't realise how much businesses, specifically independent businesses like ours, get taxed before we see anything out of this. And obviously then it changes dramatically when it becomes an income rather than becoming an additional payment and sort of stuff. And there's lots and lots and lots of different sort of rules, regulations, nuances that exist between whether you get paid a salary, etc. So it's a really tough question to answer. I think you've mentioned this before as well on Discord. There's a massive difference between what maybe I think is we're at the right point to leave compared to what maybe you think is what we're at the right point to leave, to what maybe Mrs. Winters or Mrs. Moorhammer thinks is the right point to leave, to what Fred down the road might think is the right point to leave in terms of financial support from the business itself. So that's a really tough question.
I really don't like putting a figure on it, because if I was still in my 20s and living in a basement, then potentially I could leave now. But because my overheads wouldn't be very high at all. But because I am not in my 20s, I'm in my 40s, and I have a mortgage that costs £1,750 a month, and you've got a wife and 2 kids, our overheads are not where they were when we were in 20. So everything's relative. So you put a figure on it, and a percentage of people say, oh, you could do it now. And a percentage of other people say, oh, you definitely can't do it now. So and also when we get to the point where we can do this full time, that needs to be shown that it can sustain over time, even through global pandemics. Because, okay, we do it and we jump into it and we do it full time, and then loads of people drop out. Because the thing I feel really, really sorry for out there, as well as people who lose their lives and as well as people who will be mentally affected by the crisis, is there's millions of people out there working pay packet to pay packet. There's millions of people out there. What about those frontline heroes? Not just on the NHS, but the people that the media never covers, those minimum wage people in Asda and Tesco's behind a till. And they see thousands of people a day, and they're sitting there serving and putting up with aggro customers, and the great British public who are panicking in the middle of the crisis and fighting in the aisles over loo roll. Those guys out there, I mean, there's a crisis going on out there, and we have to see once we get to the point where this business, whether the business can sustain itself over the ups and downs and slings and arrows of outrageous fortune as well. So it's hard to put a figure on it. The tax thing is awful for the business. And then you and me, because we both have other jobs, we get taxed on what we want, broke. I think you worked it out the other day. You did it in the Discord, didn't you? Actually cut it all the way down. For every pound, I think you and I end up with 21p each or something.
It was 21 to 22 pence each if we didn't
Yeah.
take into consideration the business overheads and costs, i.e. the cost of hosting the website, which is expensive, the cost of equipment, models, glue, etc., etc., etc. So it was 22p each if we didn't have any business overheads in terms of accountancy costs, website costs, kit, models, cameras, computers, etc., etc., etc. All that stuff that we need to make this work, and we have to make this work. If we didn't have any of those overheads, especially the monthly outgoings, we have a subscription package for editing software. We have subscriptions for the podcast to be hosted. We have subscriptions for the website to be hosted and for videos to be uploaded. That website.
And
Emma, yeah, our accountant, a wonderful accountant. We have a cost for her regularly. We have lots and lots and lots of costs. I think I went away after we looked at that Discord and worked it out further, including all those costs. I think it went down to something like 14p each for every pound we earn ends up in our pockets.
Nice.
So tax
to
hurts.
answer your question, after all the long, huge caveat. Hey, when are you guys going to get out the factory? Caveat over. Before the global pandemic hit, I was having serious conversations with my wife, and we were looking at summer next year at the earliest.
What do you want?
For our situation, to get to a point where we were comfortable, where she was comfortable and I was comfortable, saying, okay, we can rely on this as an income now. So about over a year away. That's before that hit. Now this is hit. I don't know. In the meantime, it does. In the meantime, we just have to wait and see. Really, I don't know, because I think your overheads are even higher than mine because you're the single earner in your household.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, Chunky Fingers has asked a question that says, "What about a Kickstarter page for a lump sum?" The thing is, we already asked
about sustainable income over time.
Absolutely, we already asked for money for the subscription service. We already asked for money for the Discord server. We already charge people enough to be involved in the community and watch the videos. The thing is, with a Kickstarter, I mean, that would have been great maybe at the beginning to pay for website costs in the initial interim. We didn't need to do that, thankfully, because Winters and I pulled some money together. However, the problem with a Kickstarter sum is unless we're going to do that like every 2 months, it's just not something that's a sustainable income. Right. I need to make my... Can you talk for a minute? You can talk about something for a minute, can't you?
Give me an idea. Ask me a question. There must be something on the screen.
Okay. So I'm waiting for a question to come through because I have to go and fill up my child's water bottle. It's right here in my hand because my youngest child stood right next to me, touching my phone and stuff. So we need a question from the chat quickly.
Where's that quote from? Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me.
You're going to be impressed.
This is Ghost Rider requesting flyby.
Yeah.
Negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
It's that awful.
It's coming out this year. I'm so looking forward to Top Gun 2.
Brap asks, this is interesting because I have nothing. Brap asks, what's left in the battle report tanks? Typhoon says, will Horus Heresy go back to plastic? There's another one just below that says, what do you reckon will be revealed at Adepticon? That'll keep you busy for a minute whilst I fill this juice up. Okay. Children might walk in front of cameras, people.
Okay, so what's left in the battle report tank for Liam? Clearly nothing. I've got one for YouTube and your one, Brapscallion, which I think was due out Tuesday. Not this Tuesday, next Tuesday. So I've got two in the battle report tank. Then I'm bingo on ammo, dry on fuel. I'll be RTBing for retasking. Do I think Horus Heresy will go to plastic? No. I think they shot Horus Heresy in the head and buried it in soft peat when it didn't swap over from 7th edition to 8th edition rule set. It just died. I know some people who still play Horus Heresy and are interested in watching Horus Heresy battle reports. And I know I get some questions and some messages about it from time to time. I do know the 30K channel still puts out Horus Heresy battle reports, and they get relatively decent viewing figures for that as well. But... the 8th edition is so accessible, and the 7th edition format is less accessible. And if you are trying to reach the widest possible audience, you've got to make your game as accessible as possible. And as it is less accessible, and it's got a direct competitor, which is 40K, which is more accessible, the curve for Horus Heresy is dropping off. So it's not going to go to plastic because the demand isn't there. If the curve had continued to grow, and if they'd have shifted Horus Heresy to the 8th edition rule set when 8th edition hit, yes, they'd have got a lot of rage from the people who had the black books, and a lot of rage from the people who invested a lot of money into their Forge World 30K armies at the start. But longer term strategy, it would have been more accessible. You'd have had more people playing it now, a lot more people playing it now. And in the run up to the Solar War, which is happening now in the Black Library, they could have fanfared the Siege of Terror. They could have sung it from the rooftops and sold a lot of resin. And if that was the case, they would have released more plastic Horus Heresy kits. The reason why they released Cataphractii Terminators and some Horus Heresy kits in plastic is because they were selling so much.
Yeah.
Which
was
it
in
isn't
line
going to go
with
that
just
way now
before 8th
because of the
edition
strength.
came out, pretty much, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it's not going to go that way now because of the state of that particular game. And I forgot what the third question was.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a second. But I noticed when I walked out the room, you said that I got nothing in the tank. That's not entirely true. I've got 3 turns against Brom filmed and recorded.
Oh, right, okay.
But I'm hoping.
So we've got 2.5 battle reports ready to go.
I'm hoping to get that finished, obviously, with him somehow digitally, which will make light of it, and that'll go on DZTV as well. Otherwise, like I said, I'm trying to come up with. I've already got 1 or 2 battle reports planned in that we're doing over either FaceTime or Skype. Just to see if I can make it work, just so I could try and keep giving you battle report type content, because that's what
this is another
promised.
thing about battle reports that people probably don't realize, or most of you probably realize this. So here's an egg. But one of the things that you can't do, I can't film 2 months in advance for battle reports because a new army is released, new codex is released, the rules change. So you've got to only be 2 or 3 weeks ahead of where you want to be, because if that I'm fighting orcs in 3 weeks and I've got my orc army and it's and then by the time that battle report goes live, that's no longer the most up-to-date rule set. You saw that recently with the FAQ when they changed combat doctrines for Space Marines. So you can't film too far ahead unless you do narrative campaigns, because then they follow the narrative rule set, which, I'll say hi, Paul, on this one. The narrative rule set is the core rules. The match play rules are exceptions that you make to the core rules when you play match play.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing with narrative rules is they are significantly less susceptible to any form of real change, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. So far in all the campaigns I've done, they've never been overruled by a rule change. And some of those campaigns, game 1 of some of those campaigns might have started filming 2 months, 3 months before you guys actually see them. Because if we release a campaign, we want to make sure that the whole campaign is there.
Yeah.
And signed, sealed, and delivered. I don't want to release a couple and then stop.
Yeah.
So I have got an idea about that.
I have got Champion of Chaos. I think the first 4 or 5 episodes of Champion of Chaos Season 2 have been filmed with Chewie, but it's not finished, as in we have maybe 1, 2, 3 more games to film. And I was contemplating the other day, do I edit them together and start putting them out, and then we accept that there's going to be a gap because it just fills a gap for content in the meantime, or do I wait till it's finished? Or I don't know the answer to that one, I'll be honest.
If you're asking me that question, then I would say put it out.
Yeah?
Yeah. Look, if you've got content there, even if it isn't finished and you've got content there, then there's people at home, and me as well, who wants to see them. Because my favourite battle report reducer on the planet, Liam, is you. And I want to see your battle reports.
You're so sweet sometimes.
I'll stop what I'm doing to watch your battle reports. I won't stop what I'm doing to watch other people's battle reports. I've been watching something on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of Call of Duty Warzone on YouTube. And it will flash up X battle report from some person, and I won't stop and watch it. But when your one flashed up the other day on the email from DZ on Tuesday, I stopped and watched that.
Oh, some lovely comments. We've just had an incredible comment. I'm listening to you, by the way. We just had an incredible comment from Brap that says, you guys need to know that you guys are absolutely smashing it at the moment and that the community is behind you 100%. We're only asking about battle reports from a positive place, and any further different content will be excitedly received. Basically, don't worry, we're here for the personalities, not for the bat reps. That's a lovely thing to say. Thank you, mate.
Well, I'm here for the bat reps. God damn it. Let's get real. It's war out there. Let's kill these Eldar, okay? Let's spread the planet with the color of their blood. It's pink and shiny and ew.
Right.
Death to the Eldar. What?
Oh, brilliant. Okay. But people have said, a couple of people have said in the chat already that maybe it would be worth sticking Champion of Chaos out. Maybe we'll think, I'll have another chat with you off camera about it, because I like that campaigns go boom, boom, boom all the way to completion. But again, like you say, it is content that we could put out in the interim. So I have promised Chewy.
Exceptional circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. I have also promised Chewy that as soon as we get the opportunity to, he can come straight back and we'll get the Champion of Chaos campaign season 2 finished.
That reminds me.
Go on.
Are you unlocking Death of Hope? And if so, when are you unlocking it? And let me know, and then I'll link it all over the place.
Yes.
Because you were thinking about unlocking a campaign in the DZ Vault as a one-time only thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously people are paying for content on DZ TV, and we don't want to take that. We don't ever want to abuse that kindness. So thank you so much. But we are thinking, because of the global pandemic that's happening right now, and because there's a load of people sat at home, because 40K content in general around the world is going to dry up, right, after a week or two, because everyone's going to be in a very similar position that we're in. What can we do to help the greater community, not just the DZTV community, but the 40K community? And the one thing that we could do to help is unlock a little bit of content from behind the paywall. And yeah, I think we should do that once, and once only, because I don't want to abuse the kindness that people have paid, but I think it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, basically, when all this started kicking off, we were sat down thinking, what exactly, apart from producing content, which we do anyway, what exactly can we do to help the wider 40K community? So, guys of you that are in Discord will know that we put a post on Facebook recently, both from the deploymentzone.tv Facebook page, and I think I put it on the Warhammer one as well, that essentially opened up Discord to absolutely everybody that wanted to join. There's still a significant number of channels that are locked behind the Patreon subscription, but we opened up, like, I think 8, 9, 10 threads in total. There's like 80 of them.
You opened up the general thread, right?
Yeah, we opened up the general thread.
Is open up to anyone who wants to join it, but that's 8 or 9, but there's about 60 threads in total.
Yeah, and then we also created a
is...
general support thread. So I created a whole other category that has a support chat line in it where people can talk to each other. It talks. There's like channels in there where you can talk about movies, music, sports. There's a voice chat in there that has been full pretty much every single day of people chatting to each other whilst they're doing hobby stuff. That is open to everybody.
How can people find that Discord, Liam?
It's quite easy. If you head on over to the deploymentzone.tv Facebook page, one of the recent posts over the last few days is there about that Discord. There's a link in it. I can also link it in the video description below for those of you watching on YouTube. You click that link, it will get you straight into Discord. Like we say, you'll get access to the general thread, the general support thread, because we basically want to make sure we are there for the community. Absolutely, whether you're a paying customer or not. At this point in time in the world, it's not about paying customers when it comes to supporting each other and helping each other get through this. My biggest concern about this whole pandemic at the moment is the effect that it will have on people's mental health, having to isolate and be on their own for long periods of time. So don't be on your own. Don't be alone. Click the link, jump into Discord. You can go in the voice chat each day and chat to people. Like I said, it's been full. You can go on the general threads and talk to people. You can talk to people about movies, sports, music, computer games, general nonsense if you want to. And as you well know, mate, our Discord is literally 24/7, so absolutely anybody can go on there and talk to someone. Yeah, absolutely. This isn't a marketing ploy. This is literally about making sure people have got the support networks that they want. One of the other things we thought we could do was things like this, so we can just jump on, hang out with you guys and chat to you for a bit. We'll probably do a couple more of these. And then the other sort of suggested idea was that we open up a campaign with hours of content so that people have something else to watch, because some of the YouTube channels out there, even some of the big ones, are going to start drying up and they're going to start not being able to produce battle reports and producing content. So we wanted to just make sure people had something to keep them company, whether that be Discord, live streams, a campaign, something. We're just trying to do everything we basically can to help people out. So hopefully, I think everybody knows it comes from the right place. I think from what I've already seen on the chat that's been coming through, people were aware that this is for the right reasons, because I don't want to upset people that have already paid for a subscription to watch The Death of Hope. And one of the reasons why we picked The Death of Hope, or two of the reasons, pack it in. Two of the reasons is because this is children for you. Two of the reasons why we picked the Death of Hope is because it's quite an older campaign as well. It was done quite a while ago. So most subscribers have now the opportunity to watch it. And it's probably my most favourite campaign on the website. I just think it's an excellent story from start to finish. And thirdly, secret option number 3, everyone loves Say Hi Paul. So why not?
Yeah, let's not put that one with that Mikey P in it, eh? Let's not put that one up.
No, not that Mikey P dick, yeah. His
face makes me want to cry. You've got children running riot in your room. Are we going to wrap this up?
I think we probably should. Come here.
I think that nice bit of spiel that you did there was quite nice. That was good, the whole thing. That was good.
So I have these things that are now home all the time, no matter what. So I can't hang around for too much longer because they're clearly getting bored playing outside in the sunshine. You can see I have my 7-year-old Shadow with me all the time now. So
hello small people.
He's waving back at you as well. Bless him. So yeah, we will wrap this up. Thank you everyone that joined us in the live stream. I hope you guys have really, really enjoyed it. It's been lots of fun chatting to you and answering questions. This isn't going to be the only one we do. Hopefully, Winters and I will get together and do a couple more because we both have those battle reports planned and they're all gone. So we've got. See,
now my pussy wants to come in again.
I'm sure.
I closed the door.
He copies what I say as well, but he can't talk.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on YouTube.
This is why I don't do small.
Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Go on, you want to do it? He talks like you on the first night of the open day. And
what?
At No Retreat as well. He talks like you do.
Yeah.
Down you get. Ready, go. So thanks very much for watching. This is turning into the most unprofessional thing I've ever done in my whole life. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and like for both of our channels. I'm sure you've probably heard of Winters SEO before. Mohammed, do you want to put this up on your website, on your YouTube as well? Or do you want me to just put it on mine? I can put it on both.
Don't do podcasts on mine. Put it on yours.
Okay, perfect.
And I've never had a podcast on mine. That's your bread. That's your thing. Let's stick with that.
Yeah, and thank you ever so much to every single one of you DeploymentZone.tv subscribers for sticking with us through this as well, and for being so incredibly supportive over the recent days. It's been incredible, the support we've had, so thank you so much, everybody. The last thing we've got to say is basically stay safe, stay home, protect all your health services, because it doesn't just work for the NHS, because we are out to the globe. Everybody, please look after yourselves. Anything you want to add, mate?
Happy wargaming.
Yeah, of course. The trademark. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you in the next one.